What's up, guys? Today's bi-weekly Evony General release. We got a Range General, Artemisia the First. So today we're going to be talking about her. But before we do that, I want to talk about something else for a second. So for a while now, we've been doing the sponsorship with Amazon, their App Store, and all that stuff, and been promoting their Discord. And I just want to give you a little teaser, I guess. But they've got something cooking up in the Amazon Discord, and you'll definitely aren't gonna miss it. It's gonna be a pretty fun event. We've been workshopping it for a couple weeks now. They've been involving the creators, and we've been bouncing ideas around, and I think y'all are gonna like it. So hop on over to the Discord so you're ready when it drops. Hopefully in a month or so. So keep your eye open for that. Anyway, let's roll the ad and then let's get to the video. Alright guys, let me interrupt for a quick ad real quick. So starting on August 20th of 2025, that's this year, the Amazon App Store is going to be closing, and the Amazon coins that you have are no longer going to be supported for Android devices. So that means if you have the coins, you're going to need to spend them or you're going to lose them. But if you have an Amazon device, then your App Store is still going to work fine. You're still going to get all the deals and all that jazz. We also have a bunch of events coming up in Evony, some really good events. Got some good rewards and some fun gameplay, so make sure y'all check those out. And we're launching a Evony Discord, so make sure y'all join that. There'll be a lot of creators in there that you probably know. And the links for the Discord and all that information will be in the description below. Alright, Artemisia the First, or however you pronounce that. European general, so it's probably French or something. On the utility side, she is an attacking general, so don't try to put her on the wall. Don't use her to reinforce cities or anything like that. Purely an attacking general. She does have a covenant, and she, for now, is just used in her own covenant. Compatibility, she is compatible with all of the skill books. She's compatible with most generals as well. She's not compatible with Algernon, Sydney, Ragnar, or Elainer, so those are some high-punching generals that she's not compatible with, so do keep that in mind before you start investing in her. And then, as of now, all the other generals she is compatible with, but there's a couple that there's still no information on, like Conrad, Mason Weaver, and Iden, but probably not going to be using her with those anyways, so not a huge deal. In terms of the main skill, she's got a pretty solid main skill. 55 attack, 55 defense, 35 HP, no march size, just pretty solid skill, nothing too crazy. For full ascension, she's got 130 attack, which I believe, yes, is currently the highest for the full ascension, so she does have pretty high attack stats, and that plays out into totals. She gets 95 defense, 100 HP, which are very solid, and 10 march size, which is a nice little bonus. She's definitely not a massive march size general, not like the mounteds, but for a ranged general, pretty solid nonetheless. Specialty's pretty solid, 80% attack, which I believe is also the highest for a ranged general. We got 40 defense and 50 HP, which are pretty solid. No march size from the specialty, which is, it's alright, but, you know, it would have been more interesting to see more march size on her. Covenant, you get 15 attack, 10 defense, 10 HP. Pretty standard, but we get 8% march size as well, which is a very nice little bonus. And that brings her totals. She has currently the highest total attack at 462, second by Sydney, and she does have the attack book available to her. Defense, she has 357 defense, which is pretty solid, putting her in 7th place overall, which isn't too bad at all. And for HP, she is 2nd, so very good survivability, but it is a ranged general, so survivability isn't really one we're looking at. Mainly we're looking at damage. 18% march size, puts her in 7th place, tied with a bunch of other 18% march size generals. So, solid march size, nothing too insane, but pretty decent. Her effective attack, that puts it at 57 billion, so less than Algernon Sydney. Of course, Sydney has that very huge march size, but he has lower attack. So, what this means is that at lower levels, Artemisia might actually overtake him. And if we look at the calculator right now it's calibrated for T14, but let's drop this to T10. Let's say you're a K30 player or something earlier in the game. And let's drop this also to K30, the general level. And that brings the gap between her and Algernon very close. Difference of about 200 million damage, which is a unnoticeable difference. So at lower levels, you are going to see a little bit more performance out of her, but Sydney is still the better general. Now let's put this back to what it was at, or somewhere near. I think it was at like K40. There we go. So in the assistant role, she's going to have pretty much the same things, minus the full ascension and the attributes, columns, everything else does count. Let me find out where she is on here. In the assistant role, she does have the highest attack of any assistant. Her defense on assistant and HP on assistant are also very solid. Highest defense for an assistant general. 3rd place for HP. So she's going to be very survivable on the assistant role. She still gets 8% march size, which is pretty solid. And in terms of total attack, that puts her in the 3rd spot for assistant, behind Sydney and Cook. So clearly, Sydney is not as good a general as Cook is. I mean, as Sydney is. If you already have Sydney, then there's really no reason to get Artemisia, as they're not compatible. So let's say you don't have Sydney and you need to find a role for Artemisia with an assistant. Now, she doesn't have many issues with compatibility except for those few high hitters. And I think James Cook would be a very solid assistant because he does have high damage. His defense and HP are reasonable, and he gets a very nice march size buff. So Cook would definitely be the assistant I would use for her if possible. And she would also be a good assistant for Cook. Franz Joseph would also be a good assistant for her if you don't have Cook. He's got a decent attack, pretty good survivability stats, and okay march size. So he's a pretty good assistant for her, and vice versa as well. Ragnar, of course, is not compatible, but Sigurd is, and Sigurd would also, once again, be a pretty good assistant. But if you're trying to min-max the effectiveness of her, then James Cook is definitely going to be the better assistant. One thing that is nice about Artemisia that I didn't mention earlier is that the march size she gets from her main skill comes at the 3rd star. Some of the newer generals, they've been locking that march size behind the 5th star. So that does mean that she does a little bit more usable at lower levels. Once you get that 3rd star and get that 10% march size, you're pretty much good to go. Everything else is just a little bit extra on top. But yeah, do keep that in mind. She doesn't require as much investment to unlock her full potential as some of the other generals do. Alrighty, that's all I got for this video. Hope y'all found it informative. Once again, join the Amazon Discord, and I'll catch you on the next one.